What's up, Marco?
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Oh, I'm just peachy. How about you?
I'm pretty grand.
All right.
You're right. Continue on.
Game on.
Have you know about Liver King, right?
Larry King.
No. Liver?
Oh,
As in, like,
the Liver King. Oh,
yes.
yeah, that Joker.
Yes. Okay. So you found out recently that, like everyone else, that he is fake natty, which I just love that word. Fake natty is one of my favorite words. Was there ever a doubt in your mind that he was fake natty?
No, because you know what? I used to have a neighbor who was a UFC fighter, and he was a middleweight champion, right? Like nationally, and I worked out with the guy, and the guy was 100% natural. It was like Fight Club, like he was made of wood. You know what I mean? And yeah, he was big, but he introduced. This is gonna sound like a gay story, but he introduced me to his other friends who were like also natties, and we started working out together, and I was learning from them, like the intricacies. That's where I learned a lot actually about bodybuilding, like the first like good lessons I had of bodybuilding. And the point of this story is that I got to see firsthand what natural combatants and bodybuilders look like, right? And compare that visually to the other guys in the gym that really, in my mind, like look swollen. They look like balloons, right?
Yeah, there's a clear definition between people that naturally work out with no TRT replacements and other hormone therapies and things like that. And people that are natural and just like, at the most they take creatine, right? Like that's the biggest supplement they take. So yeah, you can definitely see like you're saying, they look swollen. They look too tight. Like they look unnatural. Really, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like the muscles, they form differently too. Like you can see in them that they're disproportionate in a way as well.
Yes, they are, especially around like. So one thing I think what catches our eyes, especially with bodybuilders, is the stark contrast of where the muscles bend, where they meet, right? And how that shows to the skin.
Right, the cut,
as you will, right? And like a guy who's naturally built, his cut looks relaxed, and I don't know how else to explain it other than that. Like the skin on his body looks relaxed, right? And you can see it even in the in his posture as well, right? A whole lot less stiffness.
Yeah.
Like, now, granted, the guy uses an example who I won't name him, but he was very limber because he was a fighter, right? So he did a lot of stretching and calisthenics and other things. But I've met other guys, like there was this Polish guy I used to know at LA Fitness, and he was just a natural bodybuilder, and he was a bodybuilder, but he didn't look, like, I don't know, like, Jay Cutler or something. Like he wasn't just or the Liver King, right? Like just so obviously fake. So when I heard that, when I listened to Joe Rogan talk to, I forget the fellow's name, but he's kind of the guy that gets credit for outing the Liver King for discovering, because he's a bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder himself. But yeah.
Yeah, but like, okay, so do you think that Liver King, what he was doing and promoting in general, besides his own products, right? Do you think that was a useful thing?
Well, it's useful to him.
Well, no. I mean, do you think? I guess, do you think it was a positive?
Oh, did he have a positive effect on people? No.
No,
and I'll tell you why. Because it's a falsehood, and even without a conviction or a belief that what he was doing was real. Because I mean, technically, it is real, right? That is his body. That is his hard work that you're looking at. So in a way, it does make me kind of sad. Like I do feel upset a little bit that when they discover that someone's been using juice or whatever steroids to like pump up their body, it gets treated like it's a magic pill. Like that's the reason why they look as good as they do. Yes, it is, but also they put in the hours, they put in the time. Now that being said, that wasn't the Liver King's message. The message I got from that guy, from his TikToks and his interviews, was that he's bringing hope to a hobby or a sport, however you look at it. In that he was doing kind of two things. One, on the face, he was saying, "Oh, look, you can look amazing and be so natural and do things like that seem old school, like eating liver, right? Because most people cringe at liver, but I grew up, with sort of that 1950s mentality, like eat your liver and your beans, you know what I mean, like that kind of shit.
Liver and beans. I haven't heard that one. It's
Yeah.
usually liver and onions, but
Liver and onions, liver and beans.
same thing,
But the hidden message in what he was promoting was ugly, because it was also kind of saying to me like, oh, look at my genetics that you'll never have, right? And look how special I am. But oh, by the way, if you want to be a little bit special, if you think you've got what it takes, buy my shit. Well, dude, that's fucked up.
Yeah, no, I think selling something that's clearly false, saying that you took these supplements and they're quote unquote natural supplements, or they're not steroids, is what you're saying pretty much, right? And you say, if you take these things and you work out like I do, then you can look like I do,
right?
And that's just not true, and that's sad. But what I agreed with was his whole primal thing. I really think that living close to the earth, eating natural, eating whole foods and things like that, that's the message I got from him, and I think that's majorly positive, especially when you're living in a world full of processed food garbage that's not even, it's mostly poison. Look at like Hostess and things like that. Like that is not food anymore. That is a plastic you put in your mouth with flavor. There's nothing really. No,
I agree, but that's part of what I agree, and that's part of what I was getting at too. By that because that message is there as well. But people like him piggyback on that, right? They come across as lovable as Keanu Reeves, and then they show you they're not Keanu Reeves. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you like everything good you said.
Jesus at this point,
dude,
man.
Honestly, I feel like Henry Cavill's on his way to be like this era's or this like generation's Keanu Reeves, because he gets a lot of.
Hey, we definitely need more people like that. That's for sure.
I agree. Wholesome people are needed in the world, or you know what? I think there's probably plenty of wholesome people in the world that just don't
have the spotlight.
Yeah, they need a bigger microphone. Or maybe they don't. Maybe that's what keeps. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what keeps them honest.
I don't know.
You always talk about if you ever got like a bunch of money that you just waste it all on.
I would. I just don't see, because first of all, I know myself. Even when I have a little bit more than what I've got, right? I know what my weaknesses are, and they're just human weaknesses. I'm not special, but I also know, like, I've worked with a lot of rich people in my life. And this is not to just, cliche, rich people aren't happy kind of bullshit. No, there's plenty of happy rich people. But there is also, how do I put it? It was clear to me that their happiness and their satisfaction was a much bigger responsibility than it was for them than it was for me. Because they just had way more temptation. They had way more annoyance. I mean, when you've got something, everybody wants it. It's as simple as that. You think it's like, I remember one time, this one guy put it in perspective for me, because he was the son of a rich man, and we were out clubbing one night, right? And he just dropped this bomb in the middle. We're VIP. There's all these bimbos around us, and we're drunk, and God knows what else. And he just drops this like wisdom bomb on me. He's like, "Yeah, you think it'd be really amazing to always be bothered by beautiful women, but holy shit, is it annoying?" And I was just like, I never thought of that. Like, how annoying would that be, actually? Like, to have women that just always want you for your money. Yeah, they're giving up whatever, their bodies, but that constant.
You start to like, do they like me or do they just want my money?
I think,
and then at that point, it's just like, well, it's like, I don't want to mess with this anymore. I'm done. I just want a connection.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't want a connection, because I certainly didn't. At least I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
But like, no, I get what you're saying. But just imagine too, just imagine, I guess,
how mundane it would become.
Well, if you didn't want a connection, it's almost more annoying, I think, in my opinion, because it's just like, what is this like this fox respect that you're trying to play on me? Like, stop trying to play me. You can't play me. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like someone who's always trying to play.
I know what you're looking for. I know what you want. I got it. It's fine. You just don't have to. I don't want to play the game.
And it turned off honest women. I feel like there was a girl. She was the sister of a surgeon that we worked with. And she really liked this guy that I'm talking about, and I talked with her one night about it, and she never pursued it. And I feel like I got the impression that she was turned off by the fact that he just had too much attention. You know what I mean?
No, I know. Yeah,
I feel that way about hot girls sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't want to. That's how I feel about any girl that has attention. It's like, I don't want to compete. Like that's not fun for me. I don't want to be like in a pool of guys and have the pick of the litter. Fuck that. I'm better than that.
Oh,
like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, it's because it's like, first of all, I'm pretty selfish. I think of myself as the prize as a man.
Yeah.
I don't care what
we cultivate
really
the self hard. Yeah. We are a catch, my man.
I'm telling you, dude. This is, what this is. This make me laugh now because, I saw TikTok and some woman lambasting men like, why do men start podcasts instead of go to therapy? And I admit that I was like, you bitch, like I was like, wait a minute, I gotta think about that. But then the retort was by some guy, and he's just like, I was like, well, why do women start OnlyFans instead of going to therapy?
Damn.
And I was like, wow,
damn, that was harsh though.
That was a little harsh. I would have liked to have seen the comeback.
That wasn't a step. Like that was like 2 or 3 steps. Yeah. he went for it. He was like,
just put
podcast OnlyFans. I was like, damn. That is a fair point. I'm trying to think. It's like this is kind of self therapy.
It is. I mean, in a good way. I think
it is. But we also don't just talk about our woes. I mean, we talk about aspirations. We talk about our interest topics. Really, it's a bonding experience at this point.
And it's really interesting that you put it that way because I've always had maybe a slightly different view when it comes to therapy. Because you're right. Like most people, when you mention therapy, they think, "Oh, like what are you complaining about?"
Yeah,
and that's accurate. But for me,
and that's accurate.
It is accurate. But for me, what I think therapy is better described in my brain as is just having someone to talk to. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even have to be negative thoughts. It could just be, it's like people in isolation. Like I watched this video once, and this guy was estranged from his family for like, I don't know, 36, 37 years, whatever it was, right? Like most of his life. Lived out in the mountains in Chile as a farmer. And never wanted to see anyone. In fact, he threatened his own brother, who he was close at one time with death. Like, if you come on my land, I'll shoot you, your family, I don't care who you are. So this documentary crew went out there to meet this guy, right? Who's this crazy hermit, right? And I don't remember really anything else that they said that guy said in the interview or what they said about him. The thing that stood out in my mind that still does to this day is that for someone who didn't want company, who didn't want to be bothered, he had more than one chair in his kitchen. I thought that was interesting. Why do you have extra chairs if you don't want company? Yeah. So, and I've heard like
that sounds like the short story. It's like used baby shoes for sale.
No, baby shoes.
No, but it's like unused baby shoes for sale at like a resale shop or something like that. It's something like that, right? And the point is, it's like one of those stories is like read between the lines, and it was like it's like, well, what happened here?
Right.
It's like, well, why did this baby die? And things like that. Yeah. Yep. And it's the same thing with that chair to me. It's like, okay, well, what is going on here?
What's really going on? Yeah.
Is it because like he does want company? Was there at one time someone with him and now he no longer,
You know why I believe there's no such thing as someone who doesn't want company? Because
we're pack animals?
No. Even though that may be true you may have some truth to that. I think number one is because in our mind, when we talk to ourselves or we generate fantasies, it's populated. There's people in our thoughts, whether we like it or not. I don't believe even like moments in my life where I've been totally alone or wanted to be totally isolated and left alone. When I dreamt, when I fantasized, whatever, like when I was just left alone to my thoughts, there were people in those thoughts. So even when people aren't around, our brain's like making people in essence. I
know, right? Just look at your dreams. Whenever I dream, there's always other people there. That's so true. I never thought about that. And even if they're not real people that I've seen in my life, they're amalgamations of other of people like together.
Yeah, they're represented. Like somehow an entity other than you is represented. You know what I mean? And it's usually a human.
Yeah.
So I'm good. By the way, it's $9.95 an hour. It's pretty cheap right now. But.
That is $9.99 an hour for therapy. Damn. That's without insurance too, right?
Yeah, no, man.
Wow. Imagine if I got insurance.
You go in malpractice blind with me, bro.
He's got 5 stars though, so I'm willing to take the risk.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Like, who takes risks anymore when it comes to like medical care? This is another reason why, I don't think this is like just happened overnight, but the pandemic definitely made it worse. Is that I definitely like studying hospitals, because I've been unfortunate in a lot of hospitals for other people, over the last few years, and just around a lot of doctors and a lot of medicine and other people that work in the field. And I've worked in plastic surgery and in hospitals before myself, and I just noticed it seems to me that our healthcare gets worse, and by that I don't mean like how it's funded, but how we're treated, and there's just so much more liability. There's so much more litigation. There's so much more removal from doctor and patient. You know what I mean? Like, I've gone to hospitals sometimes where the person I was there to see waited hours, maybe half a day before a doctor finally saw them. But in that time, the doctor was prescribing things and doing things, and it's like, okay, I'm sure there are things that the doctor can do, as I know there are, that he doesn't need to be around the patient for. But that doesn't mean the majority should be handled that way. Every person is just a little bit different in how they should be cared for.
Right.
And it just seems like a lot of times now I feel like a doctor is just a prescription machine.
Yeah, I know, and it seems like the nurse, is the one that's doing all the real work.
The nurse is the real doctor nowadays. They really are.
Yeah, the only thing they really don't do is diagnose, right? But they administer everything.
Yeah, but you can tell when they're diagnosing mentally because they get upset.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, they want to say something, they swallow their words because they're like, I know what this person needs, but I'm not the doctor.
Yeah.
And whenever I see that in a nurse, I just want to say, look, fuck all this malpractice, all this bullshit protocol and laws. Tell me what you think needs to be done because this person who I care for is suffering, or I'm suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're the one that's not being bought by, insurance companies and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I don't know anybody anything. I just want life.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the nurse, right? The nurse isn't the one isn't being
they
bought
have no
by
investment.
them.
Yeah.
But the the doctors are definitely getting paid more from insurance companies and pharmaceuticals to sell their gear.
They're literally, I would even say forced. They're basically forced to schlock all kinds of new drugs. I have a great surgeon, the best surgeon ever that I've had in my life that was for my knee, right? And even he admitted to me he was giving me medicines, and I asked questions. It made me think like, well, what do people who don't ask questions do? They just swallow it? I guess they do because they trust the doctor. But as soon as there was a medicine, I would question it though.
Now I started.
And many times we said, like, I don't know, this is a new drug. It's like, well, then what the fuck? I'm not a guinea pig. I'm not taking this shit.
Like, I don't want to take your new drug.
But
Give me something tried and true, please.
Well, yeah, that's why, dude, I just go back to just ibuprofen, whatever they discovered. And, I don't know, 1827 off of the bark of a tree. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. That's what aspirin is.
Yeah, that's what aspirin. Right.
Aspirin is from willow bark.
Yeah, I know. I watch Medicine Man.
That's in Medicine Man. I haven't seen that since I was a child. Maybe that's where I learned it. Who knows?
I don't know. No, I think it is true. But that's one of those movies where Hollywood, because before YouTube or TikTok, people dropping trivia bombs on you. Hollywood would sneak that into movies. You know what I mean? That's like about science or like fact. They still kind of do it, but now when they do it in a movie, it makes it makes you feel like they're treating the audience like they're dumb, and now the audience is way smarter.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, speaking of just like access to information, I mean, that's just one more reason to research whatever the doctor tells you, because that way you just kind of have a greater understanding. The information's out there and available to you, and if you just Google whatever medication you were given, you can look at the side effects, because the doctor really doesn't tell you the worst of it. They're going to say, you might have this or that, but you'll be fine for the most part, and this will help. This will make you better. And like you said, we trust our doctor because we believe that their goal is to help you. Which that's one of them. I'm not saying it's not the only goal, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you got to pay attention, man. Because I've had a doctor one time. I just met the guy, and I only needed him listed as a general practitioner because I don't have a general doctor, right? Because I moved too much and all that. But I was basically emaciated, and he told me I need to lose 20 pounds, and I just looked at the guy like blinking, like, you got to be. Like that meme, like the guy who blinks, like really,
what?
like yeah, like are you for real right now? And then so it's like you just got to pay attention, because you got to remember too, like the great Christopher Hitchens said in the Young Contrarian, he's like, you got to remember when you feel like someone has authority over you or is smarter than you or whatever is better than you, and somehow just remember they're human.
20 pounds? That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a
lot.
leg, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to walk in.
How long ago was this?
This was when I was literally the thinnest in my life.
So this is
not only
when
was I
you
was
were
in excellent shape, right, and high endurance, and I worked out 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, plus our job at the time.
Oh, so this is right before your ACL
Yeah,
tear?
this is right before my first ACL surgery, and then I was emaciated because
20
I was
pounds.
depressed, so I wasn't eating properly. I mean, I was like I was a rail, the thinnest I've ever been in my life, and he's like, "You got to lose 20 pounds." I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me."
Did you ask him of what bone?
No, but I had a funny thought. I almost wanted to like have to stand up with him in the moment, like Doc, is this your way of saying you want me to die? You know what I mean? Like
What, is there a dress you want me to fit or something?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Why are you trying to kill me?
The situation wasn't right for the joke though, so I didn't share it.
He was not
I just
having it.
walked out. No, I've had good doctors and bad doctors. I'm sure we all have.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they're just human. I catch myself like that doing that. I'm better at it now. As you get older, you also care less. But like there was like something I had to constantly worry about when I was young. Is like how much authority am I giving this other human over me? Like am I just trusting them too much?
Yeah.
You know.
No,
For
I
anybody.
I get that though. Yo, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone completely. Like that's just, you just
Yeah.
can't.
That's not smart.
No,
It's not
it's
safe.
not, because I mean, even yourself will screw yourself over in the end at some point with something. You will betray your own trust. You'll let something slip. You're trying to go on a diet and you might cheat. It's a betrayal of yourself and your goals.
Right.
So you gotta you just gotta watch out. You gotta be prepared. You gotta set up boundaries. I think that's important, and I think a lot of people. Well, I don't know. I just feel like some people don't have the ability to set boundaries. Like they just let people just walk on them, and they don't know how to say. They just don't know how to say no. Like don't do that. Like I'm not comfortable with that. Like that's not okay.
And I relate to that very strongly because I'm a weird mix because I'm someone who, when they were younger, was very easy. Well, I don't know about very easy, but I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? So my first step toward a stranger or just any situation is kindness, problem solving, empathy, right? And that gets taken advantage of, and I was definitely used, taken advantage of when I was like a younger man. Now that I'm older, I'm a little wiser, and like you said, it's easy for me. It's actually very easy and kind of fun for me to set a boundary or just tell someone no. But I had to teach myself that, right? And that the person who I used to be, they didn't go that Marco, it didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? He's still inside. So there's still a part of me that just wants to be like totally open, total, I don't know
amicable.
what the word is.
And
Okay wants to be amicable, right? Yeah,
complacent,
exactly. Almost complacent, right? Because it's just comfortable. It's easier to deal with people that way when they feel welcome.
Yeah.
Right. So it is kind of like a manipulation. But
no, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say like I use that as a manipulation
Right.
all the time. Like if I want something from you, I'll let you get closer to me.
Right.
I'll deal with that uncomfortability because I know that's what you need in the moment. But I'm trying to get something from you later, and I want you to see me as a friend.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you get a little closer than I would others, even if I don't necessarily like you as a person. But there's something you have that you can give me, some kind of opportunity, or even an object or whatever, right?
Right.
But I need you on my side, so I'm gonna use that as a tool. Like I'll let you cross some boundaries that I have, but like. I don't know if they know, but this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get something in return.
I feel like we all take turns doing that shit. Even in I feel like it's even practical. It's pragmatic. I mean, we technically do that in places where we work. Depending on what kind of job you have, there are moments where you have to be that way. In order for because it's a balancing act, right? Like I always say, my joke used to be the purpose of life is to manage stress. Because it's like literally what we do. Everything we do is a balancing act. It's a management of stress. Everything.
Yeah.
Just the way I threw up my hands right now. That's a management of stress.
I know. I'm playing with this little nub on this little the coax cable, and like that's just it's just a way to manage stress. Even this little bit has stress to it. Even though it's fun and enjoyable, there's stress involved because you want it to be good and you care about what you're doing. So yeah, there's going to be some kind of edge to it.
But that's what I attribute, like when people say that, there's a struggle to life, or like my grandmother always says, "Barbaje zevut," which means fight for life.
I love it. It sounds so good too. Vote.
Yeah. And that's part of it. I think that's really what we're doing. I mean, obviously some people have higher stress levels than others, depending on what woe or responsibility you have in your life. But yeah.
One of my favorite things about when you do meet someone new, or just even watching, is that dance before when you first start talking and you guys start to move from each other and getting one person steps closer, another person backs away. You might take a half a step closer, things like that. Like trying to find your balance, your
body
space.
Language.
Yeah, like I really like that dance, like participating in it, and I also really like observing that dance. I like watching people, seeing how close they get to each other, watching them find out how far apart they can be, how close they can be, what's okay for the other. Because most people intuitively understand that when you back away, not to necessarily come all that closer. Some people don't get that, and you have to verbally tell them, I need you recently. An arm's length away, like whenever we talk. And then I have never had, when I told people that, I've never had anyone upset with me. Like oh, this guy's he's so rude, he won't let me be this close to him. I'm like no, they understand. Okay, that's your bubble. Cool, dude. Awesome.
I actually love what you're talking about, because ever since I was little, I love to people watch and just study people. Like I study humans, like David Attenborough or something. Like it's an animal. Or the crocodile hunter, like, oh crikey, look at this group of humans over here. So I still do that to this day. I know it sounds weird.
And the unnatural natural habitat.
Yes, and so I've noticed a lot of things, and especially like I've been to a lot of bars in my life, right? And that is, every bar is a social experiment, and it just is. And so like one thing a lot of guys do in terms of like estimating or measuring like closeness between them and another man or another woman is the head dip, right?
Yeah.
The head dive. So the shoulders go back and the chin comes forward and the body leans forward a little bit and then immediately comes back again, because you're kind of having two conversations when you're talking. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger or not, right? You're having a body language conversation that's going on, right? Things are playing out mechanically with you, and then you're also having your verbal conversation, right? And then the eyes are recording everything that's going on, and the brain is making decisions. That's the way I look at it. So like you'll see the head dip, and then what I notice, like because I'm paying attention to my own. From studying other humans, now I pay very close attention to my own like mannerisms, right? So when I do that and I'm talking to someone in a bar and I kind of do like this, I just kind of come in forward like that. If they back off right away, then I know that I'm already at the yardstick's length, right? So we're just playing tug of war at that point. So then I don't need to get any closer, or they don't want me to. Right. They don't trust me enough yet, which is fine. If they let me get close right away, then I know that I can probably lean in even further, and I will if I'm having trouble, like in a loud bar situation, to like actually talk to them, right? And then usually guys, like men, when they're friendly, like in a bar, they'll do shoulder close and look over to talk. Yeah. And that's like a very friendly gesture as a man, right? I did an experiment with you, right? How awkward, even though we like each other very much, we're friends, how awkward and like defensive did you feel when I just casually squared off with you? Like, I got a few inches closer to you.
That made me ready to fight right away. I was like, my instincts is like something's happening. It's like, because you squared up, like
you
it was
tense
like
up right away,
and I was like, oh my god, okay, let's go. Like,
that's a natural reaction.
My body was like, we're killing our best friend right now. Like, what the fuck?
It's funny and it's funny because doing that in public, like just casually, right? Because that's another thing too. Is like when two guys are talking, even if they're like, nice to each other, or they like each other, they do so at an angle. So it's like if my hands are two guys, like face, like the facing of two men, they'll talk to each other at an angle. They'll never talk directly at each other like this,
unless they're arguing.
Unless they're being aggressive. Well, even or aggressive, business. That's a better way. Yeah. If you notice in business, men square off all the time because it's an aggressive posture.
Yeah, it's a negotiation that you're going
to. You're setting a line, or you try to push your line, and that is a intimidation. Like that does make an effect. Like I used to joke with my friend, but he knows, he's even told me, he was like, man, you're right, because like playing like PvP game, like video games online, right, the goal is not to be a better player. There's always going to be some, I don't know, 14-year-old Taiwanese kid that can just school everybody in Modern Warfare, right, whatever. because Asians are awesome at video games. But you don't beat them that way. You don't beat them at skill. You don't beat them mechanically. You beat them mentally. You scare them. You get in the head of your opponent, of whoever you're going up against, right? And you do that by making little subtle moves. That's why weigh-ins are so important. And it's not just marketing. It's not just for show for the audience. Like, that's why you see a lot of videos of fighters who talk all this shit and they bring this like loud body game. They're just, you can see the weakness in them when they do that. Because when they perform that way, you see how their performance expires, right? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. It's like when Mike Tyson would do a weigh-in, he looked like he was dragging a mountain up onto that stage, right? There was this confidence and this force, and the energy he was moving around with was not expiring when he used it. So when he threw up his arms, or he did a head bob, or like a, I don't know what you call it, like a hand expansion kind of movement, right? You could feel that he had a lot more energy to give. But guys that come up there and they're just kind of like, the shoulders. They're hooping and hollering, and they're throwing their shoulders up like this. They're narrowing their shoulders and they're throwing up their wrists. That's a sign of that's your energy expiring from its use. So you're showing the other opponent, whether he's conscious to it or not, that's your weakness.
You go too hard right away, right? And you don't have
you
the
wear
steady.
Out quickly, yeah. So that's once you tell, that's a communication. That's the kind of shit that my brain studies, whether it's accurate or not.
I don't really watch fights like that, but I feel like most of them turn out to be like a battle of attrition. Like whoever has the most endurance and can take, who can avoid the most hits and things like that, and who can last longer. Pretty much, that's what it turns.
Sometimes
into.
It is that. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to win a fight. I actually look at this. Maybe sound weird, but I'm not normal. Is that I look at every human interaction, every social interaction, as a preemptive fight. And by that I mean, like, we're always sort of in the lobby of violence. You know what I mean? Like waiting at an airport, like a plane to take off. You know what I mean? Like, it could happen at any moment, even though it usually doesn't, because we're so anesthetized. But
right. Yeah, I know. My fight and flight response are strong. It's always fight, and I get that. I get like what you're saying. Like every interaction could turn into a fight, and you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
So you just got to be prepared. That's why I don't like that people getting into my bubble. It's like kiss me or kill me range, right? Mm-hmm. It's like we're either kissing or we're fighting, and I'm definitely not going to kiss you, so I guess we're going to be fighting, and I don't like this. You're too close. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I've, like, even recently I was at a bar again, for an example, and there's a really friendly guy there that I like talking to, and he's a cool dude, drinking with him, whatever. But he's one of those people that, I mean, he gets in right immediately in your space. And so it was so offensive, but I'm not, I've trained myself to be calm, right? Not to get too aggressive right away.
Yeah, not to be too agitated.
Yes. So, but I couldn't help it. Like, it sobered me up. Like right away the adrenaline kicked in, and all the alcohol I had imbibed might as well have not have happened at all, because my body was now on full alert. And it was just a simple, he went in close to my ear thinking I couldn't hear him. But I mean, it was like almost chest to chest. So I'd literally like push him back and be like, dude, I don't want to be rude or sound rude, but I have a problem with too much closeness. Do you mind just, keeping it at a distance when we talk? And then of course, he's very like ingratiating and apologetic, but that was, it made me friendlier to him because he was so respectful after that. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, no. If I tell you I got a problem with how close we are because you're just not getting it through my body language,
yeah,
and you respect it after I verbally tell you, dude, that's like the best thing in the world to me. It's like, my God, thank you so much. Like,
yeah, because I would be that way.
This is like the biggest relief in the world. It's like we are now, like, we can become best friends at this point. It's like, I'm so happy.
Yeah. I think it's so. I mean, we could ramble.
Maybe that's a technique to become, a friend with someone, right? You get too close, and then you back off when they tell you in any way, like body language. They're like a hard stop, or if it's like verbally, because you're like, it's like you gave them a chip to use, and then they used it, right?
Oh well, I know what that's like, because I'm a very accommodating person, and I had a friend once he's like, you know what the worst thing about you is? I'm like, no, what? He's like, you get along with everybody. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, that's terrible. He was kind of right, because I do, and I don't sometimes I don't like that because I'm too, what's the word? I'm like, I'm too open. I'm too friendly. Like I'll tell a stranger anything. Like it just kind of comes out of me. I don't care, even if it's inappropriate or if it's too much information. And I don't like that. I would rather be a bit more reserved, right? Not too reserved, because we all know guys like that. They're just like so reserved. They feel unapproachable. But that's kind of a good thing too. That usually means they don't trust easy, right? So they don't want to waste their time with casual encounters, right? I love casual encounters, right?
Oh wow, that's so strange.
Yeah.
I'm like the exact opposite.
I know you are.
I was like, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying right now. I was
Except
like,
that.
slow to trust, cool. All right, that's a good thing, positive. No frivolous interactions. Oh, I love that. That's great. I hate meaningless interactions, and then only positive, good ones happening. Well, sign up right here. Where's my dotted line?
Yeah, I think a main reason I like having as many casual interactions with strangers or just people in general is because my brain loves the data. It loves the learning. Every little detail that our practice I get to have. Like I said, I love to people watch, and so that just feeds into that narcissism, whatever the hell it is.
Well, it's that interest that your brain has. I don't know. I don't know if that's narcissism, because narcissism is just more about the self, right?
That's true. It is. In a weird way, it's not really about me. It's more like the study of me, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, the study of you and others around you, and how you interact and how they interact.
Yeah.
We could write a whole book, Marco.
Thank you. I've been told I should, but I don't know.
I would listen to your book. I wouldn't read it. I'd listen to it though.
What is it? What do they call that? Like a backhanded compliment? It's like, you should write a book. I'd never read it, but I'd listen to it.
Well, I think the backhanded compliment would be like, you should write a book. I'd never read it, but millions of others would.
Yeah, that's about the same. Yeah.
I just, reading's just a little much for me, but I love listening to things. I'll take that all day, every day.
What's weird is that I understand that, but it also upsets me a little bit personally, because I used to read all the time.
It upsets you?
Yeah, I miss reading.
Oh,
why did I stop reading?
I thought you meant it upsets you that I only listen to things and don't read them.
Oh, that does, yeah.
That upsets you too?
Just a little bit.
Why does that upset you?
Just because I feel...
Because I'm not experiencing it the way that you
I feel like you're missing out, yes. I think...
Yeah. But if you don't know you're missing out, are you really missing out? I mean, yes, you are, but...
Well, yeah, that's what that means, missing out.
But if you don't know you're missing out...
That's slavery with extra steps, man.
Yeah, but it's like you don't recognize it. I don't recognize that I'm missing out because I've never experienced. So it's like never eating chocolate. I can't crave chocolate if I've never had it. It's that same kind of idea. Do you see what I'm saying?
I guess, but I mean, I craved pussy before I never had it. So
yeah, but that's because you've seen, women on TV and things, so that you're primed in some sense. But for reading, it's just like, hey, okay, cool. Here's
the thing. The argument I make for reading, and this goes for everyone, not you, Zach, just you, is that you have to discover things in your voice, and that's the voice you have in your head, right? Whatever that, however, if it has a sound, whoever you are upstairs, when you read, you may have guest appearances, as I call them. Morgan Freeman might show up when you read a certain line or whatever, but mainly it's your voice that is reading back to you, if that makes sense.
Right.
So when you don't do that, you're sort of always in a movie theater. You're sort of always in an audience. You never get to be you.
Yeah, it's like
it's
a third party listening, third party observer.
Yeah,
when you're reading it yourself, it's in first person. It's as if you're the one enacting whatever you're reading, because it's your brain speaking it. You're not just taking it in. It's you. You're almost generating this within your mind. I understand why reading can be more beneficial than listening, because my favorite way to actually go with a book, if I'm trying to learn from it, not just like have an entertainment factor, but actually learn and want to talk about that topic, would be to follow along in a book while I'm listening to it. That way I still get that aspect. I just have too much trouble reading, and when I read, it becomes disjointed in my mind because I'm trying to figure out what the word means and everything like that. And so it's hard. My reading comprehension is horrible when I'm actually reading, but when I just listen, it's phenomenal. Like I could repeat something back to you like I was a parrot almost. But following along does keep me focused, right, on the topic at hand. That way my mind doesn't wander. So it really depends. If I'm listening to something that's like more entertainment, then I don't mind if my mind wanders, because it's like, you know, I'm creating out of a stimulus at that point, because my mind's wandering off of whatever I heard last. It's like, oh, that was a really interesting point, and then my mind will start to elaborate on it, or try to apply it to something else I have done in my past. So like dredge up a memory or something like that. And it's like, oh, if I had this knowledge then, what would I have done, kind of thing.
You know, I'm kind of angry today, and there's a lot of things that are making me angry, but one thing I don't like, and this is just a random thought, is people who hate on America, and they're American, but especially like from a position of just such grand entitlement. You know, like I remember seeing a clip from the performer, the musician Pitbull, right? And he was just saying, you know, some of you are, you know, happy to like, you know, talk shit about America, but this is still the greatest country in the world. It's like, okay, that you can debate that, sure, whatever, that's a title. But this is a great country. There's so many things that are only possible in America that aren't possible really anywhere else in the world. And it's like with the whole Brittany Griner thing, right? I mean, talk about a silly thing exploding, but I really think that's just so shitty to hate your own country, your home country, that has done so much for you. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that.
So Brittany Griner, she's a basketball player that was charged with drug possession, right?
Yeah, she's been in
Russia,
and now they're trading her for
the Merchant of Death.
The Merchant of Death. So stupid.
Yeah, seems like a very unfair trade.
Just maybe slightly.
Like someone's getting pwned, and I think it's us.
Yeah, it's always us getting ramrodded. Sure, like, it's always a political move. It's like, no, it's like I never believe the government actually cares about the people they save or or extradite or bring back to the country. You know, in and out. It's all political. It's just to make it look like they have win. Like, oh, look, the Biden administration, I'm going to get political now, right? You know, look, oh, they got to win. They managed to get back an American citizen from Putin, even while he's being an evil dictator and running a war. It's like, give me a break.
Well, okay, so it's great. Okay, awesome. We have an American citizen back here. Like, that's good. That's a good thing in general, right? But, like, it just also just didn't seem like you're saying, like, that was not for her or for the American people. That was for, you know, because it makes them look, it makes them look good.
Pure theater.
So, which I don't think it makes them look good at all, because she's a basketball player. Like, she's not really anyone, right?
No, she's just an athlete. Yeah.
She's not an asset, is what I mean, right? She's not, but
well, she is to the league or whatever that she plays for. Like, she has value. Obviously, she's gotten to where she is, but. You know,
right, but not as like not in comparison to the Merchant of Death, a man who has sold countless arms and a cause of how many American lives being lost. You know, it's like he's literally known as the Merchant of Death, and you're trading him for a basketball player. Like, that just, in my mind, it just, those two don't equate. We should have at least gotten like 10 basketball players. It's like, what? How is this? Like, this ain't working.
We should have got Putin's brother and then for that level of, like, you know, like prisoner trade.
Yeah, and then when we got like this guy who's like, he has like quad citizenship he was born in Canada, has citizenship in America, British and Irish citizenship, and like the 4 superpowers combined can't get him back. Like, how does this make sense?
He doesn't have political value. He's not a tug of war. You know, that's what it's really about, is that visual tug of war. And it's just it's like I said, such theater, and it's just really upsetting to me. And, you know, I don't know. There's nothing I can do.
No, it is upsetting though, because it's not fair. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's really
and when things are, even though we know life's not fair, and I hate that saying so much. Well, life's not fair. It's like, well, yeah, but we're not life, right? We're people. We're rational humans. We are super beings. Like, we can make things fair. Like, that's a possibility.
Dude, I mean, again, you're right. And another cliche saying is the world is what we make it. But that really is true. We live in perceptions, right? You were born in this world, and in a sense, you woke up into this world that you live in, right? Mm-hmm. And over time became conscious and learned about it. And so everything around you has authority over you, right? There's decorum, there's manner, there's ways to act around people and in society, at your job, in your home, in your relationship with your pet. Everywhere you go, there's an authority over you, right? And we treat these authorities in our lives, in what we call civilization, as these well-established things. Well, they're established, all right, because they've been around for thousands of years, but they're not well established, and it's not the only way that we could be living. You know, I really do feel that we live ugly, poisonous lives, and I have no, I'm just sort of that idiot that says, this all sucks, and then someone goes, well, what would you do? I'm like, I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, that's who I am.
Well, I know.
I'm the guy in the soapbox.
I'm the same way, and I hate it because I hate when you point out a problem with no solution. Like, I was like,
yeah, people don't realize it's more upsetting to me. Like, it upsets you that I don't have a solution, but how do you think I feel?
Yeah,
I thought about this longer than you have.
I'm still trying to think about the solution. Yeah. I'm just making you aware of the problem, right. So maybe you can help me figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really what that is. You're right.
Oh, that's a good point. It's like, usually that's just seen as complaining, but maybe it is just like, no, I really I need help on this. Like, like this problem is here, and we need to solve it.
Yeah, we have this human problem that is just, I don't even know what to call it, but we live these unnatural lives, and it's constantly getting more unnatural. I mean, it's to a point where we don't even really remember. Like, I mean, when we read history, or we read about history, or we watch a history movie or documentary or something, there's a reason why it feels like it was made up. It's almost like a movie, because we've forgotten, or weren't aware, or we're never really exposed to what we can actually be like as humans when we're in a more, I don't know what the words are. So, like an aware state, like an aggressive state, or just a more connected state.
There are some people that really don't like the Amish. Like, I'm not sure entirely why. I just heard there's some bad things that go on in those communities.
Well, closed religious communities. It's not all going to be bubblegum stories.
Right. Yeah. But what I do like, and what I think that as a society, what we can take from some of their examples is their idea on technology. And what it isn't that they shun all technology, because they still use plows and they use things, like they're still using technology.
Yeah, they have simple machines.
But the technology that they allow in their community is technology that brings the community closer together, right?
Right.
So the Amish are spread out across the country. They're not centralized, right? There might be pockets where there are more of them, but they are spread out. So for the longest time, phones, like cell phones and things like that, weren't allowed. But recently they've been adopting cell phones because they've, lo and behold, phones bring the community closer together, because you can make connections across the country. Yes. And you can have these conversations about life and community and things like that. You can start to communicate, and that's a powerful force to bring the community together. And that's how they view all technology. If this doesn't serve the community in bringing us together, then it's no good, and we don't want it in here. And I don't know if we should necessarily ban. There shouldn't be a legal ban on all technology, but it's something to think about when purchasing, when participating in social media and things like that. It's like, is this really making me closer with another person? Is this really useful, or is this driving me away from people or happiness, right? If it's not being a sustainable force of positivity, why is it in my life?
Here's something.
Can I live without it?
Good question. No, that's a good question. And here's something for you to think about based on what you just said. So when I was old enough to remember the internet being created and being introduced to the public, and my first experiences with it, right? And early internet, let me draw a story for you and see what you think. Because when we first got on the internet and we started interacting with people on different parts of the country and different parts of the world, we started learning a lot of things about people we just didn't know, and we were able to compare cliches or things we saw in movies, because that's mainly where we saw other people we didn't know of different cultures, even within our own country, like Southerners and stuff like that, and Midwesterners and what have you. So now we're able to like really talk to these people, whether they're lying or not, and many people are, but we were able to like share information and judge it, right? We were also exposed to a lot of negative and a lot of positive that we'd never heard before. But we were able to handle it because we were exposed to that in our daily lives because of the constant social interaction that we were used to having, let's say 30 years ago. Okay?
Okay.
Because that's what I'm comparing it to. But then that mutated. Then we started having children, as we do, and new generations of people are now born into this new social experiment at its dawn, at its inception, right? And so they go from, rather than having their first negative social interactions in person, they have their first negative social interactions virtually. They have them on their phones, they have them on their computers, what have you, their devices. So they don't experience proper empathy or proper cynicism, right? They have this extremely inflated version of hate, of emotional cynicism. I don't even really like. I'm not Russell Brand. I'm not the wordsmith I wish I was, but I feel like that has a very negative mental effect on us, right? At least that's what I think I witness, especially in people younger than me. And when I notice people that don't know how to interact socially to different simple situations that I knew at 9 years old, and they don't know at 21. I find that very. Now it's not like that everywhere. I mean, it depends where you go. We're in the Midwest. We're in Chicago, so it's a very sort of woke kind of culture that we're in. It's not California or New York, but it is still very metropolitan, right? That's what I mean to say. Not really woke, but metropolitan, because there's a big mix of different people in big cities,
for sure.
And when you leave the big cities, I forget what comedian said this. It was Dennis Leary or something like that, or Jeff Goldblum, but Jeff Foxworthy. He's like, as soon as you leave a city, everyone's a hick. It's like it doesn't matter if you're the South or if you're Illinois or Alabama. Yeah, it's kind of true. Like people just become country right away.
It's coming from a rural America, Illinois. Everyone is a freaking redneck once you get out of the suburbs. It's ridiculous, and I hate it.
Oh, you don't like it?
Oh, I hate that because
it has its moments. That's true.
But the thing is that they what do you not perceive? I perceive them, but they portray an idiot, and it's like why are you like, you're not this dumb. Like, why are you pretending to be dumb?
But you see what I'm saying? They're like, based on what you said, like that evolution of interaction, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And why it's so easy. It's easy for people to be ugly when they feel anonymous. Right. It's sort of like a natural thing. Because what is it? It's an excuse to like let out your aggression, to let out your stress.
Yeah, there's no consequences, and you don't see those texts in that profile as another person, really. At least I don't. I know. I don't see them as a person. I see you as a character.
Because they only exist in your mind, even if you hear them, like over Discord or something like that.
Or still just if it's a YouTube video or a TikTok, it's like you're not a person, you're a character. Yeah. Like I mean, you're a person behind all that. Yeah, maybe. But if I ever put a negative comment, which I really don't, if I do, it's because it's like you said some dumb shit and I very much disagree, and I'm just gonna say it. But it's not rude. It's just negative in the sense of it's contrary to what you're saying.
No, I agree. Well, you know what, Zach? It has been a lovely coffee talk with you on this Sunday morning.
Let me grab my coffee.
And we'll be back again next Sunday. And I just want to say to anyone listening to make sure you check out our Patreon, because we're going to start streaming these Sunday conversations without edits. So if you want to listen to it raw to see what social experiment rules we broke, or what the FBI is recording that we don't give you in our edited videos, you can find it. You can listen to it then. And don't be afraid to support us. Again, it doesn't have to be monetarily. Just if you watch our show and you like it, share it with your friends. Share it with
likes
people.
And shares, man. It just spreading it. Like that's really I just want more people to see it, just so that they can experience our experience and we can experience theirs. You know?
Yeah, we want more interaction. I know I do. I definitely want to see more people involved in, calling us out on things we say wrong, or
Oh yes, call us out for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Like
wanna
if we say some
learn.
dumb stuff, let us
I'm
know.
telling you, man.
It's like that. That's all we're all about: learning and exploring
Yes.
and getting better at everything we do. So, thank you again for all you that listen. It's been a lot of fun doing this. So we're gonna keep on going to the end of time. That's for sure.
All right, well, cheers. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.